Watch who?
Hello.
And welcome to Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And I'm new to watching Who.
Watching for the very first time.
Very first time.
And you join us, everybody. We did have a week off last week, so apologies. And if you're wondering why...
Well, we didn't have a week off. Our listeners had a week off.
Okay, our listeners had a week off. There was no episode last week, everybody. And you might have seen the little video we put out, but just to catch everybody up, we did actually record our episode of Mindgame Trilogy last week, ready to go out on schedule. But we had some technical... What?
You said that so surprised. Ready to go out on schedule.
And the slight issue was, and it's never happened before, it didn't record, basically. So after like an hour, we realised this at the end of the recording, and we were a little bit exhausted. So we couldn't face re-recording it straight away. So we just thought, right, we'd have to have a week off. And now we are regrouping to record Mindgame Trilogy for you again. So apologies, all you huge fans of Mindgame Trilogy. I know you're out there. There's so many people wanting to listen about Mindgame Trilogy, I know, but you have had to wait an extra week, so apologies on that. Although, can I just say as well, it's not like, oh, I forgot to press record. I absolutely did press record. There's more sort of technical issues that went on. Although I pressed record, I still didn't get the recording. So I just want to say that. It's not like I forgot. So we are coming to you a week later. And it feels like we haven't recorded for ages because it's just been...
In theory, we haven't.
It's been a long time. So let's try and remember what we talked about before and what we thought about Mindgame Trilogy. But I do have a few updates, which you're going to have to sort of react to that you don't remember that I've already told you all of these things before. But you might not remember.
I don't remember this, I'll be honest. I think as we get going, I remember stuff. But I'd watched it. I think I'd just watched it as we recorded. And then, spoilers, it was really boring. And it's just left my mind. A lot has happened. I mean, a lot has happened in that week. I've had a very busy week.
It has been, yeah. So Mindgame Trilogy is going to be a bit of a mind game to talk about.
I had no internet. I couldn't have re-recorded this any sooner. I had no internet. I can't still go to the vet. It's all been going on.
Yeah. So shall I? I'll do the updates. Some of the updates I did before. Some of them are new anyway. Nobody will know what's new and what's not. Right. Let's start off with. Well, thank you to the people that got in touch that were harassing me about doing the neighbours hard drive thing. Regular listeners will know what that's all about. Me being bad neighbours guy and not sending all of the neighbours the hard drive. But can I just say I have started.
This is a new update because when we recorded the first time, Mark was like, I haven't done it. This is an update. Mark, because we had a week off, he had nothing to edit. So Mark is now doing it.
So I have started, but it does take a long time. I've been doing it today. 6 hours transferring today. I've done 700 gig today. I did 5 hours yesterday, 3 hours the day before. What's that? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's like 12 hours worth of transferring. I've got 2 more hard drives to do. So I reckon there's maybe another 12 hours to do. And then I'm ready to send the hard drive back with all the Neighbours episodes on. So it wasn't an easy thing in the first place. Okay, I shouldn't have waited 6 months, but I am doing it, everybody.
I was going to say, how long has it been, Mark?
Yeah, he sent it to me in like July last year to do. So I will then reply to his emails once I've done it. And the whole Neighbours VHS thing will be, well, no. And then this is a new update. Even more regular listeners will know. And it goes back to our Space Pirates episode where it all started.
That long ago.
So original Neighbours guy. This is VHS Neighbours guy from Australia has requested to follow me on Instagram again. Like he disappeared for a long time, but he is back. I've not accepted this time though. Because I don't want to open that can of worms again. I've got my own Neighbours VHS drama to sort out before I get into any more.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, though, next week is the Neighbours 40th anniversary event that I'm going to.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm already getting a bit nervous, actually. It's quite. I don't know why. I get more nervous about this than going to like a Doctor Who thing.
Is it because you don't know as many people maybe now?
No, I've just been like nervous to the meet and greets.
Oh, really?
I don't know what to say. I don't know. I'm getting like. I'm going to meet Libby and Drew from Neighbours.
I
It's
don't
going to
know
be
who.
amazing. They were in it in like the 2000s. It's like this is unbelievable. I'm unbelievably excited about this. Yeah, it's next week. It's come up. It seemed ages away, but it's going to happen. So that's the Neighbours updates, everyone. Last week when we recorded, I had just got back from meeting Christopher Biggins at the London Film Fair, and I showed you a photo of meeting Christopher
Yeah.
Biggins, sort of Doctor Who related because he did a Doctor Who audio. That is the reason I went to see him. I did also want to meet Lady Painful, the lady from, and also the lady who is also in Keys of Marinus, but she cancelled. So I really wanted to meet my first Keys of Marinus cast member, but it didn't happen. So
Go back to that picture. You're not getting away with that. I
what?
said that looks like a passport picture.
What, me and Christopher Biggins? Yeah, well, no,
Yeah.
it's well,
Mark is giving serious passport in that picture.
well, I'm not
He's
really
not
smiling.
smiling, nor is he frowning. He is but a neutral face.
It looks a bit like sort of father and son.
A little. It was a little, actually.
Anyway, Christopher Biggins was very nice. So yeah, that's. Oh, and this leads me on to a new thing. Okay, sorry everyone, we will get to Mindgame Trilogy, but you have waited like 2 weeks, so another 5 minutes won't matter. I'm going to a Doctor Who thing this weekend, actually. So when this goes out, literally in a couple of days. So I'm going to a screening of Vengeance on Varos, okay, which is the reality TV Sarah's Uber drama Didn't See Perry as a Bird episode.
Oh, yeah.
The cast are going to be there, question and answers and stuff, right? So I need to get your advice on this, on what I should do, because it would be great to get a photo with the cast of Vengeance on Varus. So you've got the Doctor and Perry,
Yeah.
you've got Syl,
Yeah.
you've got that bald man chief guy,
Yeah.
and the blonde lady that was in it, Aretta, and I think you've got like a couple of the crew as well.
Mm.
So obviously I've met the Doctor and Perry before, but the other guys have never done any Doctor Who events before, so that's quite exciting.
Yeah.
A group photo with them is £70 for one photo.
Okay.
Oh, I just don't know if I want to pay that much for a group photo. Is it worth it, do you think?
How much do you like the episode?
Well, it's all right. I mean, you can get the cast without the Doctor and Perry, which is £45. I don't know. When I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that would be amazing. The cast of Vengeance on Varus, me, with them around me, and one photograph, great. But actually, I'm just thinking,
It's £10 a person.
oh yeah. I mean, you can do it individually.
You'd be paying more than £10.
I mean, that's sort of 10, 15. Anyway, I was just thinking, oh, I saw it and I was like, yeah. And then throughout the day, I've been like, £70 for just people that I don't really know. And what, it's just a photo.
Mark, I mean, to me, I'm not the right person to speak about this because that is most of these things. But I guess because then it is like a contained, like they are all the people from this episode.
Mm,
That's quite cool. And I guess because the event is that event, that's quite a nice thing.
mm.
So, you
But
know,
is it just going to look like some? I don't know. I can't decide if I want to justify actually paying that because it is quite a lot, I feel. Or I would just get a photo with Seal because I've not met him before.
okay. I think that's what you
I don't know.
decide whether you want like one where it's like a complete like group thing, which I think could look cool, and you
Mm,
know that it's like everyone from that episode,
mm.
or whether you just want to keep doing your individual people.
I don't know. I'm just getting a bit like, is it actually worth it? That's sacrilege to say, isn't it? As well?
It is. I was gonna say, Mark.
But the only reason is just because some of them have never done Doctor Who events before and stuff. So I thought that might be quite,
Yeah.
good. Anyway, I'll have
Well, I
to have a
guess that's the
ponder.
other thing. You probably wouldn't get that opportunity again.
That's the only reason. That is literally the only reason. But it's just going to be a photo. And if that comes out bad, do you know what I mean? Like £70. So, I mean, even for Neighbours next week for the meet and greet, I'm already trying to get a bit more sleep. I'm drinking more water.
The routine has begun.
The routine has started already because I'm like, I cannot look terrible for Neighbours next week.
I get you.
I don't really care about
Have you
Vengeance on
booked your hair?
Barrow. I might have to get it done tomorrow just so it's all right for like next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need too close of a time, but you want it like
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
get
I need to do that. Anyway, there we go. So that's what's. Oh, and also while we're talking about Doctor Who events, everyone, you're going to come and see the Savages at the BFI.
No, the train has been booked.
Well, that's at the end of the month. That's not too far away. You're going to come. You're going to actually see an animation,
I know.
and it's the Savages as well, which is really good. You like that one?
Did I? I can't remember.
It's
Which
the
one is it?
It's the one where Stephen leaves.
Oh, yeah, I did enjoy that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Peter Purvis is going to be there as well, so
Oh, that was cute.
might be able to meet him and say hello to him. That'd be nice. So we could do a little mini location-y episode about going to the
Anyone sees
Savages.
us there, two people like, but it doesn't want talking into a phone. That's me and Mark.
Yeah, I mean, look out for Sarah, everybody.
Oh my
Look
God.
out for Sarah at the BFI coming up. That'll be amazing.
We'll take
It's
a
going to be
picture in
great.
the morning. You can see what I'm wearing.
What else has been going on? No, I think we're going to have to get onto Mindgame Trilogy now. I think that's...
Yeah.
Let's do it. Previously on To Watch Who, we did Mindgame.
Yeah.
And it was a Draconian, a Sontaran, and Ace, not Ace, human. Well, it was Ace.
Yeah.
It was Sophie Eldred. All trapped in a room together. And it was a nice little half an hour, 30-minute, nice, easy watch. And they were trapped in a prison cell. This man in this sort of gorilla mask thing captured them.
That was the worst bit, but yeah, otherwise enjoyable.
It was quite good. We left it on quite a positive, actually. This carries on. So at the end of that one, they all beam off separately back to where they came from. And this Mindgame Trilogy is a trilogy of short stories, one for each character, sort of 15, 20 minutes each, about what happened to them afterwards. And let's talk about just the structure of it. Okay, so I'd never seen this before at all. This was completely new to me.
It was new to you.
Absolutely. I'm sure, I don't know, about...
Very first time for Mark.
I think like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think hardly anybody listening has seen this either. So it's
Big
all new.
there, Mark.
It's new to all of us, everyone. It is. I bet it is. So first off, I was surprised about the structure because it's literally a monologue from each one. There is nobody else in this at all.
That I think was the biggest surprise for me. I think what I expected was he'd come back and we'd see them. At least I expected it somewhat insular because, you know, it's low budget. I didn't expect full things, but I expected a little bit of interaction. I wasn't expecting as to camera as some of them were. Also, something you said at the start was that it had each one had their own writer.
Yeah, they're all written by different people, yeah.
So that also meant that the flow of them, they needed a story editor because the flow did not.
Well, no, you're
the
not
flow
watching...
it did not, shall we say.
Well, they're not interacting with anything. They are literally talking to the camera a lot of the time.
Well, a sentence I thought I would never say in my life is my favourite one was the Sontaran one. Never, ever, ever in my life is that a sentence I thought I'd say. But even watching this, I never thought I'd say that because it was my favourite of the three. I thought it set up really well. I thought it was the most interesting. I enjoyed the dilemma. It made the most sense for me as a viewer. And so it was the Sontaran sort of, sorry, and I've sort of jumped a little here for you, but him having that sort of dialogue of the fact that he sort of worked with people and it's kind of gone against everything that he sort of understands and believes. And he was sort of questioning a lot of like what he knows and him as a Sontaran and what does that mean and stuff. That to me worked the best and was the most interesting. And it was more of like it wasn't to anyone, it was almost to himself and out loud. Oh. It was like in that sort of that he was sort of analoging it, but it was almost like thoughts out loud as he's analoging it rather than like I'm saying this to you in a camera way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's the Sontaran. He beams back down and it's on a battlefield there's a war going on. Great special effects. It all
Yeah.
looks good still, and the costumes look just as good as they did before. And he's recording to like, I don't know, Sontaran Command, being like, I'm back now. I've been away and
I'm back, bitches.
I'm back and I'm here ready to battle. But he's changed because the whole thing with the Sontarans is it's all about war and honor and all of that stuff, all sort of Star Trekky stuff that's I think's boring. But because he'd met this Draconian and this human, he's like, oh, we worked together to defeat this thing, and actually that's actually not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And maybe the Sontaran should think about doing that. And that's what he's talking. I mean, it's 20 minutes. It does go on a little bit.
But it goes on a journey.
Yeah, he does. And he realizes it. And then he's like, right, I'm ready to go into battle now. And then he basically gets killed. He gets shot. And then this other Sontaran turns up and just like shoots him. And then his message never gets sent out there to tell the Sontarans that actually working with other people is maybe a good thing. That's what it boils down to. Yeah, I think I was just getting used to the format of it because you could see this on stage, couldn't you?
Yeah,
it would work quite well. As you're watching a video of it, I'm like, I just got a bit bored. But I can see why you like this one the best because, it's got the most character to it. It's got, like you say, it has got a journey. It's got high points and low points, and this
was the one that like it sort of just got straight in it. The other two have this whole setup, which we'll talk about in a minute, but they set up like, and this is what I'm doing. This one didn't. It just sort of was like, it did a little bit. It basically was like, we're in it. This is what's going, like, he was back and he's in a battle and you just see it happening. There was no, like, we're not wasting time doing that either.
No, because he's talking into his thing. He's like, Sontaran Command, da 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 da.
Yeah.
It's obvious that he's doing a field report. Sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So it sort of justifies that he's talking to himself. And he's not really looking at the camera or anything like that. I was just struck by how good it looked more than anything else. I don't know what I was expecting though. I knew there were 3 short stories, but I thought they would have other characters in there as well. So I thought he'd beam down and there might be like 2 Sontarans and something would happen in that way. I wasn't expecting this monologue stuff, so I was just waiting, I think, for something else to happen or someone else to come along.
I think for the first one you're waiting for something and it's nothing. And I think the first 10-15 minutes I was a bit the same, but then as we get to the others, that's why I appreciated the first one the most.
Well, production wise as well, I suppose it's a sensible thing. If you haven't got any money, and, it worked really well in the first one. You've got these few characters, one set, half an hour, great. You're trying to do something different. You can't do that again. It's like, in soaps, when they do two-hander episodes, in like EastEnders and actually Neighbours. Neighbours does some very good two-handers.
Not mentioning Neighbours.
Some very good two-handers. But like EastEnders do, with like Kat and Zoe.
You can't tell me what to do. You ain't my mother. Yes, I am.
And then the next episode, it was just them either side of like the bedroom door. Zoe shut herself in a room, and then Kat was on the other side, and that it was just this whole episode just explaining what had happened and all the backstory of this thing in EastEnders.
I can tell you what happened if you want.
I mean,
Dot had hers in EastEnders.
Yeah, and it's like the same because the soap budgets are probably about the same as a Doctor Who spin-off budget. Well, actually, maybe a bit more, but it's the same kind of. But that's where but that is where the writing really is important because actually, those things you're not in those episodes. You are just focusing on the story and the characters here, and I think that might be the way to do it if you're doing a spin-off like this. Although now I've mentioned EastEnders, I could talk about my EastEnders story.
You can go on.
Segue, everybody. Only because it just reminded me. So that week in EastEnders, what was it, 2000, 2001 maybe?
Something
everybody knows it. It's with Kat and Zoe.
You can't tell me what to do. You ain't my mother. Yes, I am.
You ain't my mother. Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Actually, I've taped that week. I've got that on video somewhere. So that week, everybody, all the Slater sisters, they were the big family in EastEnders at that time. And they brought in a new Slater sister that week, Belinda. And I watched EastEnders a little bit around that time. I don't really know EastEnders that well, really. and I didn't know this Belinda came back later on as was recast by someone else. But anyway, original Belinda in EastEnders, everyone. She, I remember her because she went to my school in my media studies class at school. Our teacher mentioned this. We were talking about EastEnders, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Belinda Slater from EastEnders. I taught her in this very classroom." And we were like, "Oh wow, that's really cool." And then my teacher pointed at me and was like, "And she sat there," and I was like, "Oh my god." Belinda Slater from EastEnders sat where I sat for like.
I'm Belinda.
I was like, "Oh my god, I'm a star!" So that was very exciting that the Slater sister sat exactly where I sat. Where was I going with this story anyway?
I don't know.
I think that was it.
This
Oh,
was
anyway. So she's played by Leanne Lakely, everyone. Anyway, I looked her up, and I don't think she did much after EastEnders because obviously they recast her. I think she got done for like drug smuggling at Gatwick Airport like a few years ago.
Yeah,
So,
I think we did have a quick look, and it was something like that.
But anyway, that is the approach that Mindgame should have had a Cat and Zoe sort of moment between the. You could have a Sontaran and a Draconian either side of the door. I mean, not "you ain't my mother," but something like "you shouldn't have shot her" sort of thing, or I don't know, "you ain't my alien."
I am. Woo.
Something like that. And actually, anyway, I won't go on about the neighbours ones. But anyway, back to Mindgame. The second story is the Draconian, and he's in a prison cell. This one was a bit tough because he sort of. It's a bit like
this is to camera.
He is talking to camera, and he's like, "Oh well, I've been imprisoned here," and it's weird. And he's obviously the Draconian mask looks really cool, but then he's just all in black, and he hasn't got the full costume on, so it looks like it looks a bit like they just couldn't be bothered to put the rest of the costume on. It doesn't look right.
It's supposed to look like he's in some sort of prison garb.
Yeah, but it's just black. It doesn't really work. I mean, I suppose he shouldn't be in an orange jumpsuit or anything, but it just doesn't look right to me. It just looks like it's someone in a costume now.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, he's talking about how, I mean, I started to drift off a little bit, to be honest.
No, I really, this one, I really, really struggled. I started like to begin with because it was like maybe the first like 2 or 3 minutes, I was a bit like, okay. And then it was going on and on. I was like, where is this going? And it was only at the end when he was like, when he gets the book and it turns out that like he fell in love with William Shakespeare or whatever.
Does his Draconian girlfriend give him a book about Shakespeare?
Something like that.
He loves Shakespeare because throughout the whole thing, he's sort of quoting Shakespeare and it's spoken very Shakespearean. This is written by the guy who plays Draconian. So I think he's like, I love Shakespeare. I'm going to do this. But it's Doctor Who. If he probably had his way, it would be a Shakespeare straight to VHS spin-off rather than Doctor Who. This Draconian really loves Shakespeare. And then he's sort of shunned in the society. And is that why he's in prison? Because he's sort of gone against the Draconian way? Something like that. I don't know. I think it's something like that. And it's sort
something
of
like that. And it was something like, maybe it's because it was like the ideals of it.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I should know Shakespeare a bit better, but I've never really got on with Shakespeare.
I never really did Shakespeare. I didn't do drama at school. Like I've done bits of it, as in what we had to do for English, but that was about it.
Yeah, I did some in drama, and there's the Midsummer Night's Dream film with Clarissa Flockhart in. I don't know if you've seen that. No, that was like a modern one.
Of course it was.
I saw that at the cinema, actually.
Oh, really?
It was my friend Chloe's birthday. I don't know, we were like 15, 16, and she wanted to see it, so we were all like sort of dragged along to see Midsummer Night's Dream. And it's the full like Midsummer Night's Dream. I mean, it looks good.
I remember, like, I've seen things from it.
The only thing I remember about that is my friend had sweets and went, give Kelly a sweet, pass it along, give Kelly a sweet. And Kelly couldn't make it and she wasn't there. And we thought that was hilarious that they said, give Kelly a sweet. And we were just trying not to laugh the whole time. And people were looking at us and stuff because it was such a boring film. I mean, that's what made us laugh, give Kelly a sweet. But I suppose it's trying, is there sort of a theme? Because you've got the Sontaran sort of looking back at they're set in their ways, the Sontarans, and this Draconian, they're all set in their ways, and they've all been changed by Mindgame 1, you know?
Well, I think that's what I struggled with this one. The first one, I think what was most interesting was he's come back and it felt like the immediate what has changed. This one, it didn't feel like I was seeing what has changed for this character, or have they been impacted? Like, it felt like this was maybe like 2 or 3 months later. Initially, I was trying to work out, is he in prison because he left and like maybe they don't believe him? And then when he was talking about falling in love, I was thinking, is he falling in love with the human? Like, did he fall in love with her? Like, I thought, God, like they're all falling in love with her. And then he was like, I was like, bloody hell, it's a book. But for me, it just felt the most disconnected. It just didn't connect to anything that I've just watched. It just felt like I'm watching a story about some character that I saw before. I'm like, okay, right, great.
And like, it's not. I suppose it's not that draconian, really. It could just be anyone just standing there. It doesn't make it Doctor Who. It doesn't make it draconian. It's just someone talking about Shakespeare.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, number 3 though. This is Sophie Eldred. Is back as Ace, I suppose. Ace.
Wow.
Shocker, everyone. Spoilers if you haven't seen Mindgame Trilogy. But
Mark hadn't.
No, I was really
feelings on this.
I was very shocked. So our Ace character, she gets beamed back into a spaceship. So she's sitting in a cockpit. She's literally in her space seat the whole time. And there's some cool special effects. We've got some CGI spaceships, and she's doing all of her, sci-fi acting. Oh, the ship's going to blow up. I need to, deactivate the engines or whatever. Anyway, she ends up floating in space on her own, and she can't, and the life support is draining. She's only got a few hours of oxygen or whatever. So she's monologuing, of course, to camera. She's recording her last moments, and because she doesn't think she's going to get rescued.
Sorry, Mark, can I just pause a sec?
What's happened?
Cat's toilet is like literally at my feet.
Oh.
And, like doing its turn, so it's just really noisy.
Oh, I can't hear anything.
Give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Like it's literally turning upside down at my feet.
Okay.
Can you not hear that?
The discussion of a cat's toilet and Mindgame Trilogy are completely not linked, everybody.
Honestly, I wish I could have filmed that. That was wild. Because I'd moved it slightly. So I could just get in a bit. But the lid had popped off at the top, which is where the waste is. So all of the waste has just gone out the back as it's turned. Right, anyway, continue. How were we?
Anyway.
Ace.
So what did you think of this one with Ace?
Ace one. I feel like Ace should have been first. Ace's was probably the best in terms of setting up their monologues. It's someone talking. She literally is and also I would have liked with Ace a little bit more fighting, maybe. So I would have liked to have seen her more in battle or something, and then some talking to people and stuff like that, which you could have had. You don't need to have a budget to have someone else off screen talking. Do you know what I mean? I would have liked that, more of that sort of thing. So it felt like she was in peril when it happened. Maybe, but it set up for the whole, I'm by myself, I'm going to record this log. And so it set up for the whole, these are solo things. I get why it was last, because then it ends in the whole bang and her.
Oh, she dies.
Yeah.
I was not expecting. What? Oh, yeah, she does.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting her to die. I thought she would be rescued at the last minute. So actually, this isn't sort of canon Ace. This doesn't count if I was doing a watch.
We did have a debate whether this was Ace, because she does say Doc. She does talk about adventures, previous stuff, doesn't she?
She says, am I going to get rescued by a time machine or something? I'm really surprised that they did that. They killed off Ace.
Ace killed herself off.
Which she obviously does come back in the actual series at some point. So
yeah, maybe this is just another timeline of Aces.
Yeah, I don't count. I'd do the first one, but I wouldn't do this one if I was doing a marathon.
Yeah.
And if I'd known, we wouldn't have done this one at all. Doesn't count.
Which I was like, thanks, good to know, Mark, because that's an hour of my life I'll never get back.
But no, I thought, it's nice to see Sophie Eldred doing her thing. If you haven't, this is, no Doctor Who is on. It is Wilderness Times, and it's nice to see. So maybe they left her at the end so you would watch through this whole thing. I mean, I can't see myself wanting to watch this again. Once you've seen it once, okay, it's
That's it.
interesting.
Yeah.
Why would you want to watch this again and again? I don't think it has any replay value at all. I think the first one is a nice half an hour, and this is like 50 minutes,
Yeah.
and they're just
It
too
could have been
long.
like 40.
Yeah.
It could have been shorter. And they could have just all benefited from a story editor to tie them together.
Yeah, or unless you cut
Or
between
one writer.
unless you cut between them, you didn't have 1, 2, 3. You had a bit of Sontaran and Draconian back to, and
That'd
they
have been
all, you
yeah.
need to edit,
It needed something to
you
like.
need to edit it up a bit and do something like that.
It needed some good editing on it.
Because otherwise, okay, after the first one, there's by the time you get to 8, you're like, okay, well, she's not going to go anywhere. She's just going to talk to herself. We're just waiting for the end now, and there's no other. She's saying, "Oh, this is my life," or it's not even. There's nothing really dramatic. I mean, yeah, she's scared she's going to die, and there's a bit of emotion there and stuff, but there's not enough going on.
No,
there's not enough going on.
No, I agree. I think because there was nothing to play to, it's just her, and also, and it's not a diss on her, but there wasn't enough built up within it for where the emotion goes.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, ultimately, the end, she kills herself, right? And it's a 20-minute it's about a 20-minute, not even that, 15-minute. Hers is probably the shortest, I'd say. 15 to 20-minute monologue to get to that point. With, at the start of it, fighting before she gets that. And she's very silly towards the start. And then her character has to get to some, like, places. And he doesn't really get there. And I don't think that's her fault. It's because you can't get there in that short space of time.
Oh, because you said before, it reminds you of, like, Alan Bennett.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh, it did. It all reminded me of Alan Bennett.
Alan Bennett monologues, but not.
I think it reminded me of Alan Bennett monologues. It really did.
But there's sort of more to it in an Alan. That's how you do it. That's how.
Yeah.
It should be done like an Alan Bennett.
Exactly.
There's more character there. There's more.
Yeah, but it felt maybe it's because it's that sort of time as well. Maybe they'd watched some Alan Bennett monologues and were like, "Oh, we should do this for."
I mean, it's a great idea. Do Doctor Who Alan Bennett monologues, but this is not the way. This is like draft 1 of it.
Yeah.
And actually, there's a making of, and they're filming Sophie Aldred getting ready, and the guy who's filming it comes up to her and is like, "So why are you coming back for this one? The first one had mixed reviews." And he says it right to Sophie Aldred's face, and she's like, "Oh, I thought it'd be a challenge to do this."
Very diplomatic answer.
She's like, "I don't read reviews. I don't listen to the reviews. I'm doing this for me." I'm like, yeah, okay. No, I think this was actually a struggle. I think this is one of the toughest ones to get through.
You said you thought this was tougher than... I don't think this is as tough as Missing Episodes.
But you're finding Wilderness Years the toughest.
It's hard, yeah. It's easier in one sense because production's better. If it was muted, I could watch it and appreciate it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas sometimes when I've watched like some of the Missing Episodes and like it's really difficult audio and you're watching like that was hard. That was like really, really tough. And you're trying to follow a story.
But at least they're characters that you know every week. And
yeah, that's the biggest difference. With the other stuff, I knew the characters week in. So you're starting to know personalities. You're starting to understand that. That helps. You're just trying to follow a story. This, every week is different. And that is harder.
Well, we're nearly at the end of the Wilderness Years, everyone. You'd all be pleased to know. And we would be one step more if we hadn't have not recorded last week.
I know.
But yeah, it is tough. But we've only got 2 more.
It's not just the inconsistency, but I think it's the inconsistency of like knowing characters.
Well, that's what it was like in the Wilderness Years. And we did actually last week in our Missing episode, we did have, I can't remember how we got onto it, but I was saying maybe we're heading towards another Wilderness Years. If Doctor Who, there's been no announcement of any more new Doctor Who or anything, maybe it's going to have a rest. And it's weird because that was the Sunday we recorded last. And then it was like the Monday or the Tuesday on Twitter, there was loads of people talking about a new Wilderness Years coming. It seemed to be in the fandom chat.
Yeah,
Maybe, I
that's
don't know, and I don't remember seeing it before that. After I mentioned it,
you literally said that on the Sunday.
yeah.
Yeah.
And some people were like, "Oh, there's not gonna." I saw a tweet like, "There's not going to be a Wilderness Years like it was before." I suppose it would be different.
I'm with you. I think that because I said I don't think it'll be like before. I think there'll be a hiatus. I don't think it'll be a Wilderness Years.
But I mean, I suppose some of these spin-off things that there was a few. When was it? A couple of years ago, the last one come out. There are people still making these unofficial things, even though there is a new series. And we've got all the audios as well. And there was books, there was audios, there was all these videos in the 90s. And I think some people are like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait for the new Wilderness Years," But will it? I don't know what to expect. I don't know if we will have all this stuff. It'll be fun to see.
I think
But
the problem is right now because they haven't even announced when the new series is, have they?
no, it must be coming up soon, though.
But it is recorded.
Yeah, they did it back to back with the other one. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that is in the can. It's the fact that there's no mention of the next one being recorded. So that's where that is once this one's done, that's when the unknown is. And I think that's what people are.
Well, you got the spin-off series coming up. That hasn't been announced when that's coming out. So unless they do,
but that's been recorded at the minute.
That's been done. That's finished as well now.
Yeah.
So unless it's
you'll have this one come out, then it'll be like the same amount of gap, that one, and a new Doctor, I reckon.
Yeah, I don't want there to be another new Doctor, but I think the signs are that there might be already, and we're getting through Doctors too quick. That's the problem. You have this whole thing and all the merchandise changes and everything else. You have a new rebrand. You all get used to it. They're not sticking around long enough. So, well, I don't know.
Why do you say that? How long was Jodie around for?
Well, I mean, because of COVID and all of that stuff, technically it was like 4-5 years. It was quite a long time, but she only did really 2-3 series, maybe 2 series.
I don't know. I'm asking you,
God,
don't ask me.
Well, this is where my 1, 2, 3. She only did 3 series and some specials.
But that was over like 5 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was over quite a long time. But I think we might be heading towards that, so we might get some more spin-offs at some point. Who knows? But it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting if we could catch up before there's a new series.
That's crazy. I don't think we would. There's a lot of new series.
Anyway, so we could be heading towards a new Wilderness Years. What do you think, everyone? Let us know.
I don't think we will catch up with the new series. There, I've said it.
Okay. I hope not. It depends, though, because I think we'll do the spin-offs. We'll have to do the Torchwoods and all of that as well. So we've got all those to factor in.
My face sank there.
Look, if you've done Mindgame Trilogy, you've got to do a Torchwood.
I don't mind doing a Torchwood. There's a difference between a Torchwood and Torchwood. Let's just
I mean Torchwood. Torchwood, I mean.
Yeah, I thought you said that. That's why I just wanted to check.
Hey, some people have got in touch. They want us to do the audios, and we're not going to do the audios, everyone. Even the Paul McGann ones, which are great, but we can't be doing the audios. We've got 2 more to do, and then we've done the 90s. You'll be pleased to know, everybody. 2 more to get through.
Just think of my sanity, people, please. Think of my sanity.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've watched these more than any fans probably have. I don't think many fans have seen all of these spin-offs.
That's something to think about, isn't it?
Yeah. You've done more than some people have. Anyway, next up, it's Auton 3.
Oh, God, so many Autons, aren't we?
We like those, though. We like those.
We do. We go back to that now. It's just,
Auton 3.
Where can you find us, Mark?
Oh, okay. It's at the end. Well, we're back, everyone. We'll be carrying on through. So, Auton, what am I talking about? You can find us on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram at 2WatchWho. Actually, we did hear from Salamander. Tweeted, Blue Skied us. Salamander. From Enemy of the World.
I don't know, what the actual...
and said, Salamander said, have you thought about a Facebook group or page? Which we know, which is a no. I mean, I can't even update the ones we've got, let alone add another one. So I don't know. But do we want a Facebook page?
I'm not allowed to do anything. So Mark doesn't even give me access to the Instagram.
Oh, because I don't know the email. I don't know the password. No, so we probably won't do a Facebook page. But anyway, what did I say? Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, and you can join us on Patreon as well. I mean, we wouldn't recommend Mindgame Trilogy, so don't worry too much about it, everybody. Although I think it might be coming out on DVD again at some point. So I wouldn't bother trying to track it down too hard, though.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, we're back, and I hope we've recorded this one because I cannot talk about Mindgame Trilogy again.
I'm telling you now, if this doesn't go out, it ain't happening. This will be a missing episode. Or Mark will just release his version, which is him talking.
Well, I've got that twice now.
It'll just be 2 versions of Mark talking.
Got that twice. Although for Too Much Who Fact fans, there is one episode that we did record twice.
Oh yeah, you did. I didn't.
No. We did one twice. We did one twice. Yeah.
I recorded one before twice.
Well, no, I didn't not press record. We did record it, the Daleks.
Yeah.
And we did that twice because the first time the sound levels were like really weird and it went all crackly and stuff. So we actually did record the Daleks twice, our second episode. I've got that somewhere.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, you're right.
Just because the quality, I don't know, there's something weird.
Recorded twice, not me.
I've recorded my end twice on one.
Because Mark, I mean, which is like one of my favourite things in the world. Which one was that?
Web Planet.
Mark, which had 3 of us on.
Yeah.
So Mark recorded, he didn't like his audio, so Mark just re-recorded himself, including laughter. So if you listen back to the Web Planet...
Go back to the Web Planet, I am recorded separately at a different time afterwards. I listened to it back and just copied exactly everything I said and dropped it in. That is my most technical feat ever. We always tell that story.
Whenever we have people on and we talk about, like, however Mark did record.
That's the secrets of Too Much Who.
Whenever we have guests on, that's the story we tell.
So that's the thing. Last week, if you had recorded and I hadn't, I could have just done that again and we could have had an episode. But because it was just me, you're not going to do that. So
I'm doing that shit. No way. There was no way, though. I wouldn't have known what I'd say.
Well, no, that's the thing. At least because for the Web Planet, I was just so quiet. It didn't. That's why I had to record it. At least I had a recording of it. I was just really quiet.
The Web Planet, I think, like, we don't talk about the Web Planet enough, but I think it's one of our most iconic episodes for many different reasons. That, I was in the foulest mood ever that day, and it's the first time we had a guest on. And like I'm in such a foul mood. I just come out of a relationship. Mark was like, do you want to record this? I was like, fuck it, let's do it. Then I watch it and I'm like, what shit is this?
It's the Web Planet.
It's the Web Planet. I was just like, what have I just fucking watched? And then I meet David for the first time, who must have thought I was like the worst person in the world. I was just in the foulest mood. And and then we recorded the Web Planet and then Mark had to re-record himself. It's just iconic, is the Web Planet, for lots of reasons. Lots and lots of reasons.
Anyway, we will see you all next time for Autumn 3, everyone. Keep the wilderness alive. Oh, bye.
Bye. Oh, there's litter out. Fucking litter everywhere.
Too Much Who.